this video, I'm going to teach you 5 card tricks that are super visual and super easy to do. Alrighty, I just got back from the last day of shooting my short film Confinement, which is a project that's been happening over the past few months, hence why I haven't been that active on YouTube. But shooting for the film is now done, had an absolute blast making it with just the best cast and crew. I'll keep you updated as to where you can see that film if it's released in the future. But yeah, now that project is out of the way, it means I've got a lot more time for YouTube videos. And today, I'm returning with a banger because this tutorial is going to teach you 5 tricks that you can do with gaff cards. Was that? Oh no, please don't tell me he's back to making regular YouTube videos. I was enjoying the peace and quiet, for God's sake. I've just realised that my last tutorial was a few months ago. That's how long it's been. So hopefully I've not forgotten how to make one. But yeah, hello guys. Hope you're doing good. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am going to teach you 5 tricks that are super easy to do, super visual, and use gaff cards. The exact type of gaff cards I'm going to be using are from the Dystopian Gaff deck, but all of the cards are gimmicks that you can make yourself. So grab yourself a deck of cards and let's learn this first trick. This first trick actually uses a rare misprinted card. You can see this Jack of Diamonds here has been cut slightly offset so that we've got a little bit of the 10 of Diamonds as well. This is really, really unusual, but there is a trick that you can do to fix it. If you take hold of both corners just like so and pull, you can actually split it into the 2 cards that it's made of. Alright, here's how to do that first trick. This is one that I absolutely love, and it's something I've spoken about before, where you start with the gimmick and you show it plain up front to the audience and you explain that it's a misprinted card. Kinda goes without saying that to do this you need a card that looks like a mix of 2 cards, and of course the 2 cards that it looks like it's a mix of. And this goes on top of the 2 regular cards. And there are actually 2 ways of doing this trick. The first one looks like this, where you take the card and it sort of splits like so, which is really, really nice. Or you can do the variation I did at the start, where you sort of pull it apart. And I think that looks better personally, but again, that's just preference. They both look really, really nice. This first one is just a snap change. So I'm holding the 3 cards like so, with the gaff at the front, and in slow motion, I pull and I spread just like this. And when it's done at full speed, obviously a snap change looks like that. The other variation is really similar. You have the gaff with one of the cards behind it, and then this one, you're just sort of going to pinch behind like so that my thumb is actually under the card, and I just sort of place that like this, and I can do the snap change as I pull it apart. So in slow motion, kind of looks like that as I pull them apart, but obviously in fast motion, if I reset, it looks like I'm ripping the card into the 2. On to the next trick. In this one, you take a card with a signature on it, and you simply rub, and that signature comes right off. The solution to this one is one of my favorites, and it's actually been hiding in plain sight. Obviously, you need a signed card that is face up on top of the deck, and you need a box. And the box is what hides the secret, because watch the signature, I'll do the trick again. All you do is you rub it with the box, and the signature vanishes. Now, how has that happened? Well, what I've actually done is I've placed another 5 of hearts on top of this one to make it look like the signature has vanished. So I just place a duplicate on top. How did I hide the duplicate on the box? Well, the back of this card looks like the top of a card box. So simple when you know the secret. I absolutely love this. So the preparation, all I do is I take a box and this card just looks like the top of a box. I just hold that card there And then I take this deck with the signature, and all I'm doing is I'm dropping that card on as I pretend that I'm rubbing the signature away. It is such a brilliant way of making a signature vanish, and there are so many other uses for this as well. You can have the card change completely, you can have it something vanish. Once again, all I did there was I dropped this card on top of the 9 of diamonds, making it look like it disappeared. There are so many uses for this secret. These are ridiculously easy to make as well. All you need to do is cut the top off a card box, stick it to the back of a card, and voila, you have a camouflaged card. Absolutely love that secret. Moving on to the next trick. So, imagine this. You're at the end of a torn corner routine, you've just made the piece completely disappear and reappear in an impossible location. Not only that, but you've showed that the pieces perfectly line up, and then the audience ask the killer question. Can you restore the card? And in this position, no, you can't restore the card, right? Because it really is torn and there's no way of putting these back together. But here is the trick that I like to perform when people ask me that. I turn over one card, in this case the Queen of Clubs, and I hand them this little piece to hold on to because we don't actually need the piece for what we're gonna do. All I do is I take my hand and I cover the torn card just for a second, and then I actually rub that tear and completely restore the card. Impossibly, the 8 of diamonds has now fused to the Queen of Clubs. 2 cards have become 1, and this is an impossible souvenir they can keep forever. Alrighty, so how the hell is that trick done? Well, personally, I think this works best at the end of a torn corner trick. Now, if you don't know a torn corner trick already, that is absolutely fine. I'll leave a link down below to my Camberwell tutorial, which is a trick that ends in this position. But if you know Daniel Madison's Angle Z or Jay Sankey's similar trick, then this works perfectly as a finale to those as well. So obviously you need a card that has just been torn, that goes without saying, but you also need one of these, which is a special card I've had made that looks like 2 cards in one. So it looks like a torn card on top of a Queen of Clubs just like this. This is printed this way, but you can very easily make these just by sticking cards together. Hopefully it's fairly obvious how you'd make one of those. Torn card, normal card, stick them together. If you want to get extra fancy, you can split cards and do the layers, but I'll leave that up to the pros. But basically, you need a card that looks like this, and you also, of course, need a regular ungimmicked Queen of Clubs. And here is how you set the deck up. So, you're going to take the deck, you're going to take half, and flip it over so that you're left with cards that are face down on both ends. And then you take your Queen of Clubs and you plop that down on one end. And then you're gonna take your gimmick face up on the bottom, just like so. And you actually want the torn end towards you. So flip it all over and you should have a face down Queen of Clubs on the other side, the face up gimmick. Do not let that worry you though, because the setup is by far the hardest part of the trick. The rest of it is actually really, really easy. So once I've done the finale of the torn corner trick, I show the pieces match, I'm gonna very casually turn over the top card, which is the Queen of Clubs. I'm gonna take the big piece, the rest of the card, and place that on top. And then I'm gonna hand them the piece. I'm actually going to give the piece to them. And this is perfect misdirection for me turning the deck over. Why do I need to turn the deck over? Well, because this looks very, very similar to this. So all I'm gonna need to do is turn the deck over to complete my switch and thus do the restoration. So, question is, how do I turn over the deck without them noticing? Couple of really easy ways of doing this. If you imagine there's a table in front of me, what I can do is I can just turn my hand and place the deck down and it's turned over and it's switched. People just do not notice that the deck has turned over. If you're placing it down, it's almost like it's not needed, it's forgotten, so people aren't looking and they're not going to notice the fact that it's turned over. But I don't have a table here, so the way I'm actually going to do it is just by letting my hand very casually go to my side, and then my thumb is going to go under the deck and pinch it just like so, and boom, I'm in the right position. I can use my other hands to rearrange, and I'm already there. At this point, this is all acting. I just mime that I'm fusing that and picking it up, and then I can hand it out. The rest is just complete mime. Oh, and I can already hear people in the comments saying, why not do a deck flip? And yeah, you can do a deck flip if you want to. The reason I don't is because I'm really bad at them. Moving on. In this next trick, you take a card and you tear a corner off it, you can see that corner really is being torn, and you hand this torn corner to them and they keep this in their fist. Now, when they see that this is the ace of diamonds, they can assume that this is the ace of diamonds as well, but now you have a card selected, and that card is the two of clubs. And when they check their hand, they can see the torn corner is the two of clubs. The method behind this trick is possibly the simplest one on this list, and yet it has a ton of uses. I'm talking, of course, about the mispipped card principle. These cards, although they look ordinary at first, are mispipped. They have different pips in their corners, clubs and spades. You don't notice it at first, but it's so simple when you realize the secret. So all I need to do, and I can do it to this one, is I take this card, and people think that it's the jack of spades, and I tear a corner off it just like so, and I can give this corner to my spectator. They just think that this is a corner of the jack of spades, but when they check their hand, it's the jack of clubs. Pair this with a card force, where you force the jack of clubs halfway through this, and then the corner turns into the forced card. It's a freaking miracle. Now, yes, for us magicians, and you've sort of got to turn off your magician brain for this one, because for us magicians, it's really obvious that the card is just a mispipped card, because we know about those and we know that's a thing. But perform this to a layperson even once, and you realize that it fries their minds. It's such a simple secret, and yet it's really effective. So never underestimate the power of the dark side, of the mispipped card. And if you've been keeping count, that is indeed 5 tricks using gaff cards. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It feels good to be back in the tutorial game. Plenty more where this came from, so if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any content in the future. I do anything and everything to do with magic, so if you like magic, make sure to subscribe. Join me on this journey towards 20k, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.